Hello, how are you guys doing today? This is Brayton, and today's video is going over my workout routine, or what is my regimen for staying lean and or just maintaining my physique. For I've gotten a couple comments just asking like what do I do to maintain my physique, as in diet, training, and etc. So I, decided to switch up today and do a video kind of on my training. I have some footage here to show like what my training is like. Pretty much we'll be going over kind of like my training style, as well as like my set range, my rep range, and etc. And what do I do day to day or weekly, supplements I take even, or medications I take. We'll just kind of hop right on into my push workout here for today is like a prime example of kind of what my training's like before I do a push, pull, and then I do legs. I just do kind of the classic workouts for weightlifting, and what my training's like for the majority of like most of my days. So we'll be starting off with like a shoulder, chest, and tricep day here. So anyways, let's hop right on into the footage. So a little baseline of like where I started. I was around 17 when I first started exercising, or just like weightlifting, working out, and etc. And I was on around 109 pounds, 110 pounds-ish, around there. Yeah, so as a junior in high school, I was a very small, skinny kid. I was around like 5'10". Yeah, it was pretty bad. So when I started working out, I just started to increase my calorie intake, especially like protein, creatine, etc. All the, basics and stuff. Now I'm around 150 pounds here at pretty, I don't say what my body fat is, but on the leaner side, maybe 8%. Ish, around there. Anyways, we'll get into my diet later into the video, more in depth than that, but yeah, we'll get into my training here. So first video I will be showing is, I guess, my warm-up for warming up my shoulders, as well as just my rotator cuffs. And just making sure like everything's warmed up. So, cause I've had troubles with my shoulders in the past, especially when you're younger, you're gonna wanna like not warm up, you don't have the patience. And sometimes I get impatient with, working out sometimes, and I don't like to warm up. So it caused a little bit of like an injury to my shoulders. And so yeah, now I know to warm up my shoulders. So I do a little rotator cuff warm up here with the rubber band, just to I did a couple sets here. Of course I didn't record all my sets, but I just do around 3 sets of just to like warm up. I'm not counting, I'm just feeling it out pretty much. And so yeah, that's I guess my warm up here. I don't do any crazy warm up, but yeah, I just do it for my shoulders. So first exercise here technically is going to be the cambered bench press incline, and yeah, I've been liking it recently. Even though like I still like normal bench press in general, I didn't really like the cambered bar, and it just gives good depth for me, and I've gotten great pumps off it. And even though I did not record like my warm-up set here, but I did do, a 95-pound set here. And I try to go, especially with my warm-up set, go to like around 15 reps, and then, try to go to failure with, when I start to increase the weight, but try to aim around 15 reps here. Then I do around 4 sets. For at least this exercise here, I'm doing around 4 sets. And yeah, I'm just trying to make sure I get good depth, make sure I have proper mind-muscle connection, and I'm feeling it, a lot in the chest. Because sometimes if I push heavier weights, I've noticed that my shoulders like to take over, or other muscle groups like to take over, and my chest is definitely one of my weaker muscles on my body. So I think in general, I like to make sure I'm getting proper depth and a lighter weight. So I can actually, feel it in my chest, especially my upper chest, which I think is something that I lack in strength. And pushing more reps have given me more, like, better pumps, and just, I think, better definition in my upper chest as well when it comes to development. Just personally, that's kind of like my training style. I like to push higher reps, like around 15 reps per set, just because I don't push crazy volume, because I'm a leaner person. I have higher risk of injury, and my endurance is not, as high. Obviously, I still try to push volume, try to increase my weight, but sometimes it just kind of depends, like if I got enough, food in for the day, or if I got in, enough water, or enough creatine, usually, because I do take dose creatine somewhat high, or if I even didn't get any creatine for the day, it really does affect my strength and my endurance quite a lot. Especially what I've noticed from being, leaner is your endurance is affected, and especially if you're dehydrated, oh yeah, it can be quite rough. And especially just pushing yourself harder and pushing higher weights. So yeah, that's like the first video here, and then this is the next set here where I increase the weight a little bit and try to be slow and controlled on the way down, and just trying to push myself to the best I could, just trying to go to failure. I don't think I got too many reps on here, or went to 15 reps here. So But I just make sure this is my third set on it. So usually around my third set is my heaviest typically. Sometimes my fourth set is, but usually my third set is. And then I usually do my fourth set as like a drop set. And this is my last set here, where I just drop it back down to around 95 pounds and just kind of, usually I take like a minute break, 2-minute break at the most. I have a bad habit. I'm not taking long breaks because I get impatient and I just want to keep, working out. And it can affect my endurance negatively as well. As you can tell, I don't, crank up the reps, which I want to get to 15, but sometimes I can't, just because usually I haven't taken a long enough break, or, my endurance is not the best. Going to failure at least, or until I can't anymore. And yeah, pretty much. And I don't have a spotter, sadly. And then next up here, I went into a decline press, machine press. And typically I usually do dips, but sometimes like, I get bored of them or I want to switch up. And so today I'm, switching up a little bit. I actually kind of like the decline press machine. I like it more over than actual decline bench press itself, in my opinion. I think this has been great for me. And I try to push the weight up a little bit more, especially for this exercise here. As you can tell, I'm going to try to push the weight up a little bit more here and just kind of crank it out. And I'm making sure as you can tell, I'm looking at the thing so it doesn't touch, so I can keep tension on the whole time. And because there's not the best range of motion for this exercise, but I feel like my lower chest is something that definitely is lacking. So I'm trying to pick this up more, and I've been getting great pumps from it. So I've been, I struggle with mind muscle connection a lot. And I've been having a great time with this exercise. Then for my next set here, I up the weight a little bit. I think I just add 10 pounds. And then I try to go to kind of failure here. I don't do too many reps. Yeah, I just try to push it out, making sure to keep tension on. And yeah, that's pretty much what I'm doing here. And then after I fail, after a couple reps here, I do like a drop set. So I go kind of straight into the next set here. So I pretty much take off the 20 pounds from it, and then I just kind of crank it out for the last kind of like couple reps I could do here with a short break around like 30 seconds. Just kind of crank them out, making sure I'm keeping tension and not making sure it's touching at the bottom, so I can keep tension on the full time, because that just kind of gives the best pump for me, at least, and the best mind muscle connection. And I just kind of went to failure. And yeah, that was for that set there. And then for my final set here, I believe I just kept the same weight, but I took a break, I think around a 2 to 3 minute break here, and then I just kind of cranked it out. And as you can tell, I'm feeling quite fatigued. I'm just trying to crank out the final reps here for the, final set. Then on to my last exercise for chest, I believe, and this was just fly machine. I sometimes do dumbbell flies. Those are also great, but I decided to do, the fly machine at this time around. And yeah, I enjoy it, even though I don't do much weight on it. The reason why, I think I did around 65 in this, but I don't do too much weight just because sometimes my other muscles like to take over, for example, like your biceps. And, my chest is a weaker part of my body, especially like the inner chest here. It's something I lack. I want to make sure that it's getting a proper, range of motion. I'm just making sure I can properly feel it and get a, proper pump from it. And, not my biceps feeling the pump, or, my shoulders or something. So, but yeah, that's my first kind of set there. I believe I did around 15 reps or failure-ish around there. For this set, I believe I just dropped the weight a little bit, and I took around a minute and a half break. So not the longest break. I just kind of went straight into it, making sure I keep my chest up, kind of like a deep stretch on like the range of motion. And yes, I think I just went 15 reps for this. I don't think I did a drop set here, but I did higher reps for this set. Pretty much just kind of went to failure. I have a trend of just I do go to failure a lot, or I like to. Just personally, I think it's just my training style. I like to do that, even though it's maybe not the most optimal. And maybe, I guess, some people's opinion of failure is subjective. So, it just kind of depends here. I think at times where what I think is failure for a certain workout is where either one of the muscles gets fatigued and another one starts taking over and my form gets all messed up. For me, sometimes it's like when my muscles get fatigued in a certain area and, another muscle takes over. I guess I kind of that's my idea of failure a little bit when it comes to a working set. While others it's like complete failure of all muscles and you just kind of give out. As like an idea of failure. Sometimes it depends. I don't have the most consistent when it comes to my workouts on how intense my certain sets are and certain exercises are. Sometimes one is more than the other. And it just kind of also depends on how much I enjoy the workout I'm doing as well, and or what kind of workout I'm doing. So next up here, we're gonna get into triceps and some tricep push downs. I try to get a decent range of motion, making sure I get like a deep stretch kind of on the top, just because I feel like I feel it more in my triceps, especially like this part right here. It's been doing great for me. I think I typically am not a big fan of push downs, but the more I've started to try to do more long range of motion, I've started to actually get better pumps from them and just have better mind muscle connection personally. And so, you know, if that switch up has helped me a lot where developing my physique, because I feel like at a certain point my triceps were something that was lacking, and definitely something not my strong points I thought in the past, but now I feel like they're slowly starting to get a little better. And then on to the next set here, I push okay weight. I think on like a heavier here when it comes to triceps, especially push downs, because that part of your tricep that you're working out, I believe, is a long head. My triceps aren't really fatigued at this point, so it's the first kind of set they're fresh kind of. Obviously, I just work out chest, but they're kind of fresh, and you can push them a bit more and push a bit more weight here. So with the push downs, I usually can try to push more weight, just because they're push downs, they're not too difficult. So I did around 3 sets here. I don't think I recorded the last one, but I usually try to push somewhat high weight for that, so I can get them squeezed out, make sure I try to go to 15 reps or till failure. But yeah, typically push downs are not my favorite. I just kind of did them because I thought it's a good example, and especially with the deeper range of motion, sometimes I can enjoy them. So now on to the next tricep workout here, which I forget the name of this workout. A friend in the gym showed me these, and I just really like them. I don't push much weight for this workout, but it is something that I definitely feel a nice deep kind of like stretch in this part of the tricep here, and it's gotten some crazy pumps from it. I feel like it's developed the long head of my tricep a lot, because that part of that tricep I think was my weakest part in general, just because like I struggled with having proper tricep workouts, and I just had bad form for a while. So the more I like kind of switched up my tricep workouts from just being like 2 things, trying to learn from some buddies in the gym, hey, like, what do you do for triceps? I've noticed like actually some more development or leanness just in my triceps in general, because I think they were something that was lacking in my physique. So I started kind of like this. Here's another angle here of this tricep push down to keep my elbows just as close together as possible. And it's just, so far, I feel like it's helped develop my triceps quite a lot. And usually I go to 15 reps here. I don't typically go to failure on these. I try to, but 15 reps is usually what I go for. But my triceps are definitely starting to feel fatigued at this point. So I only do around 3 sets for those. Sometimes for triceps I do 4, but like usually I do 3, but I do 3 sets instead of 3 sets of each, and then I do 3 workouts of triceps. Because then next on we have the overhead tricep extension, which is just one armed, and usually I do lightweight, like 12 pounds I did in this, or like some really lightweight 15 pounds, maybe more like 17 I guess. But yeah, I just did like an overhead tricep extension, so I can get this part long head of my tricep, and because it's feeling fatigued at this point, and I just want to kind of squeeze out the final couple kind of just last sets here, squeeze out those reps, and kind of just make sure I get proper mind muscle connection with one arm, because that's where I can focus the most. And because sometimes if I'm doing both arms, sometimes my shoulders like to take over because I just don't have the best form. So, maybe focusing on one arm is something, I should probably do more just to help have better mind muscle connection. I just kind of did both arms, do a set of each. And I believe I don't think I did 3 sets of each. I believe I just did 2. Yeah, I'm definitely feeling it in my triceps. Because triceps is something like I said before, I hated working out. And, I was one of those guys who, I have a strong point in my back, I think, so I would work out a lot of back and, like, biceps, obviously, because when you first start working out as a teenager, you're going to want to do, like, the bro groups, or the groups that give you the most attention, and especially if you're genetically gifted in a certain area, you're going to want to work out that area, because it's your strong point, and especially if you're getting, attention and compliments for it, you're going to want to work out that group more and you neglect other groups. So like for me, it was like I would work out a lot of shoulders and my back and my biceps, because I thought those were my strong points. And to a certain extent they are, but I neglected other groups like my chest, my legs too. Like even though my legs, I'm guilty of like kind of skipping leg day for my first couple years of working out. And yeah, or I would just kind of like just not work out them as hard as like my upper body or like my biceps or back, which I would like push to failure. And while my legs, I would just kind of like But now I train legs a lot harder and I do a lot more sets and reps in general, so they are looking better. I may do a leg day in the future of like my leg training if this video gets received well, because now I guess my legs are slowly catching up, kind of be as lean as my upper body or as defined as my upper body, because they're not as genetically blessed, I think, especially something to my back. I didn't work out like my legs as much because I have high quad inserts, don't always look the best, and high calf inserts, so they just didn't look the best off like rip, being 110 pounds. So I was guilty of skipping a leg day. So yeah. Now my shoulders are, even though I like to train shoulders a lot, they are something that I think do get fatigued very quickly. And it's probably because I train shoulders a lot. I think like I train them sometimes like with my back days, like either rear delts, and sometimes I'll like even do raises here, for example, on my back days. So I do train shoulders a lot, so they may be overworked and fatigued. As you can tell here, I'm just doing kind of around 15 reps there, and then I do just front raises to failure here. I didn't do too many reps. And I believe I just do, for shoulders on my push days, I try to do around 3 sets of flies or, lateral raises, not flies. And then I like to superset when it comes to shoulders. So then I usually do a front raise or a side raise. Usually sometimes I do a cable. And here's another video here, kind of like lateral raises. And I did superset here, I believe, with kind of like front raises, and I just kind of do them to failure. I don't usually count my front raises or my lateral raises too much, and I just try to go to failure here when it comes to my shoulders, and because I just really like training shoulders, so I just kind of snap into a different mindset when training shoulders and just try to go to failure, especially when it comes to like raises, things like side raises, lateral raises, and front raises as well. At this point, my shoulders are getting fatigued. It's a current trend here is I do get fatigued very quickly, which can suck at times, especially if I have not taken enough creatine for the day. Because if I don't load in creatine, oh yeah, and water especially, oh yeah, my energy is done. Because or if I just don't have enough glycogen and just stored energy, or because I do carb load before workouts, around 50-60 grams, but those will deplete fast, and especially if I don't have enough creatine in for the day. So yeah, that was my lateral raises and stuff. Now next up is my shoulder press. I think I only got 1 set of this recorded for my shoulders. Like I said in the beginning, I did have a shoulder injury at the beginning of my workout journey. My shoulders did get injured a little bit, so now I still kind of feel like kind of the repercussions of that, and they are definitely weaker, and or my weakest parts of my body, I believe. They have decent endurance, but when it comes to weight pushing, I really can't push that much weight, for I do feel a little bit inflamed, and especially my left shoulder, but my right as well. So, I can't push the weight as much, but I try my best. And well, I try to the point where I'm like, I feel it and I'm not feeling the bad pain. So yeah, I could train till failure here. I don't do too many reps here. And I think I only did two or three sets, I think. And then I would do like 1 for both, and then, 1 for each arm, where I focus on 1 arm at a time. And I would just try to go to failure. But I do get proper, range of motion, and, well, I think proper range of motion, but keeping the tension on the full time. Yeah, that's pretty much it when it comes to most of my workouts. Sometimes I'll switch it up quite a lot, if I get bored of my workouts, but this is like, I guess, a good representation or baseline of like my workouts. Here's like, I guess, how my physique is looking. So pretty much just kind of staying leaner. Like I said, I think I'm around 8% body fat, but I'm not 100% sure on what my leanness is. But just for my anecdote, I guess like my endurance can definitely gets impacted a lot, especially if I don't take, a bunch of carbs before my workout or throughout the day even. And my my creatine is low. I've definitely noticed when I do not take any creatine, yeah, my endurance is even worse than this. And I think I'm only in 5 grams today, or the day I'm working out here in this video. While something like 10 to 15 grams of creatine, even 20 grams of creatine, I get a lot better pumps, and my energy is way better, and I can push myself way harder. Not only is it like my muscles feel more full on creatine and I have more strength, but it's also psychologically as well. I'm a lot stronger and I can push myself a lot stronger, a lot more aggression when I'm higher dose in creatine. For a while, I just didn't take creatine because I was kind of scared. I had fearmonger for creatine because a big one was like also hair loss when I was younger, but also too was I did not drink enough water, and I still kind of don't. I was just scared of like the kidney problems, not drinking enough water, and how creatine can negatively affect my kidneys. Now I do take creatine quite often if I remember. Sometimes I go into work and I'm like, oh, I forgot my creatine. And then, I work for, if I work long hours, and I'm like, okay, I can't take any creatine for the day, because sometimes I don't take pre-workout with creatine in it, or I don't take pre-workout in general, by the way. Well, if I do, if it's a pump formula, I'll take like creatine, before I work out, and it will give me just like horrible nausea or bloating. Not good. So sometimes I don't do that, or I don't really do that anymore. So usually I try to take creatine throughout the day before my workout so I don't get nausea, because I'm pretty susceptible to nausea in general and just like kind of bloating and stuff. So anyways, that's I guess my workout there. Now to get into other things like, my diet, my supplement regimen, I guess we could trail it. Since we've been talking about creatine a lot, I guess you could trail to my supplements, my ergogenic aids to help my workouts. So I don't take usually any pre-workout in general. I work out at night a lot, and so I don't usually take a lot of caffeine. And if I do go in the mornings, I only take around maybe 80 milligrams caffeine, or nothing crazy, just because sometimes caffeine makes me crash a lot during my workouts, and then I just don't have any much more energy or like kind of like drive to work out. So I've been kind of like disciplining myself to, go without caffeine, go without music even. It just kind of helps build my discipline up. Honestly, it's helped me just work out harder when I have no like music and or caffeine. Just my anecdote. Creatine, yes, I take around, 5 grams typically daily at least. Sometimes I accidentally skip out, but I try to take at least 5 grams, but I want to make sure I want to get in more if I can, if I'm drinking enough water, especially around 15 to 20 grams a day, because then I can actually push heavier weight. I can push my reps higher even. My strength just goes way up, and I get way better pumps and stuff. And, psychologically, I feel better too, and I'm stronger, more aggressive, etc. Just more cellular energy from the creatine. And then any other like supplements I take, I guess we can get to another video, or I have another video on my channel of like my antioxidants I take and stuff like that. I like to experiment with like just supplements, antioxidants especially, stuff like that, but that's not really ergogenic aids and stuff. But I guess some, medications I've taken as well. I am taking dutasteride around 2.5 milligrams daily, and that is a 5-alpha reductase inhibitor for androgenic alopecia I take, which could it fall into an ergogenic aid? Possibly, for it can increase testosterone. Well, the dose that I'm taking possibly could increase it by 30%. Not the most literature on it. The 2.5 milligram dose I take possibly could increase my testosterone a decent amount, where it could have an ergogenic aid effect, but not really. It's not like a super physiological amount of testosterone where it's like actually giving me muscle increase and affecting like my gym performance. I really don't think so. And because even at like 0.5 milligrams dutasteride increases testosterone 15-20%, I doubt it is, because it's also increasing aromatase activity too. So, but I really don't think dutasteride, it makes me unnatural technically, but it doesn't affect my performance or acts as an ergogenic aid, I don't believe, by any means. So now on to the diet section of this video. Now, my diet isn't too like complex, or I don't really even track my diet that much, or I don't really like watch my diet. It's nothing crazy. I stick around maybe like 2,200 calories a day, maybe less than that. It kind of depends, so especially when it comes to like my stimulant intake and my satiety for the day. Usually I stick around 130 grams of protein a day, so on the higher end, a little lower than my body weight. Higher protein keeps me full longer too, helps, with recovery and etc. Also helps with crashes too, from low energy. My carb intake is, I'm not too sure. I think it's okay. Like I usually dose carbs high before my workout, around 60, even 70 grams at times. I don't really watch like my diet when it comes to that, and I'm guessing for my calorie intake is around 2,200 calories, but I'm not 100% sure. And even like food groups, I should probably watch a little bit more, maybe like decrease the amount of fats I'm eating or start eating better foods. But because I have a very weird diet. If you guys don't know, I'm allergic to a lot of foods. So most of my protein sources comes from whey protein or milk. And I digest milk just fine. Whey protein is amazing, convenient, and easy for me. And I don't eat like any other meats. And the reason why is I'm like allergic to like all meats, especially like lean meats, like chicken, poultry, turkey, all that. Like I am like deathly allergic to. All seafoods I'm allergic to. I'm allergic to many of the plant-based proteins as well. So like pea protein, soy, I don't tolerate very much. And I mean, it's less of an allergic reaction than to like poultry, but because not all of them are equal when it comes to my allergic reaction. Legumes and like, you know, certain beans too, especially are something that really disturb my gut. That's like the main like allergic reaction. But like also I get like anaphylactic shock at times. Yeah, I've had some pretty bad experiences with my allergic reactions. I like love chicken and I love like seafood and stuff like that. It smells so good. But I will like have a seizure if I eat them or eat too much of them. So, you know, I'm just going anaphylactic shock, you know. So sadly, I am like stuck to like only like pork and like a certain amount of beef. And it's like a pain to carry around all the time. While whey protein is perfectly fine when it comes to like how healthy it is. It's high in cysteine. It's very easily digested, especially if it's an isolate. Hydrolyzed, you know, I have a hydrolyzed isolate protein, digests very fast, very low in fat. I don't get any acne breakouts or anything like that. So personally, I've had great experiences with hydrolyzed whey isolate, and that's, you know, that's all I consume. And you know, I'm nothing against like, you know, poultry. I wish I could eat it, but I just eat a lot of pork. Or and then like beef at times too. I eat a lot of beef, but for beef and like pork, you know, I don't eat them all the time, but I can, you know, but they're kind of, you know, a hassle. You have to meal prep and stuff like that, and for me, it's convenience. Anyways, I'm just saying my diet's not too advanced, or like I don't watch as much. And the reason why here, it's not like because my metabolism is super fast or like whatever. I just have good genetic satiety signaling. So that's like I get full very fast, and so like someone could eat something that I eat, like I eat the same portions, it's the same food, but I get full just maybe way quicker than that person. And that's just genetic satiety. That's just kind of how it works here. Stimulants will crush my appetite for like the full day. I just get full very quick. And that's just what kind of makes me have I guess a genetic advantage of being leaner, is it comes down to genetic satiety signaling. While you know, some people really struggle with it. You know, like for me too, my diet's high in protein, and at times it's also high in fiber, which will make your body produce less ghrelin and higher leptin. For me, at least, if I have already high genetic satiety signaling and I eat high protein and high fiber, that's already like gonna be crushing my hunger a lot. And top it off, you know, have like an energy drink or something. I'm not eating like much. And so that's like at the end of the day, that's like the biggest point, is like comes down to genetic satiety signaling, and it's not even really that I have fast metabolism or I'm just genetically leaner, you know. And I was like kind of chubby fat when I was skinny. I had like no muscle definition. That's just my, I guess, 2 cents kind of on it, and what I think really kind of it is, and what it comes down to when it comes to maintaining leanness and maintaining my physique. So anyways, I think that's gonna wrap up my video for today on my workout plan, my regimen in general, what I do to maintain my physique, diet, etc., stuff like that. So if you guys enjoyed, feel free to like, and also comment down below any, like, if I am, you know, some tips on training is appreciated, or any of your tips and any of your anecdotes are greatly appreciated. And yeah, feel free to comment down below any ways to improve my physique, diet tips and tricks, I guess you could say, things that I guess you can improve, you know, on that. Feel free to leave them down in the comments below. So yeah, I think that's gonna be pretty much it though for today. And but yeah, hope you guys enjoyed, and yeah, I'll catch you guys later.